Hi, welcome back to People Watching. I'm Joe Navarro. Today we're going to talk about how you can become even better at reading body language. Number one, start off by reading. There's so many good and authoritative books out there. And number one on that list are really all the books that have been written by Desmond Morris. Starting with The Human Zoo, The Naked Ape, People Watching, which is a must, along with Body Watching, Man Watching, and all the other books that he has written. Don't even consider yourself an expert unless you have read the full library of Desmond Morris books. As a zoologist, his view on human evolution and how it affects nonverbals and his capacity to observe nonverbal is unequaled. There is no one else on planet Earth at his level. So before you read any other author, including myself, please read him. Number two on the list, David Givens, who has been mentoring me now for nearly 40 years. He is an anthropologist, and he may not be as popular as some other people out there, but he is a true expert. And so I would begin by reading their work and obviously taking a look at the work of Paul Ekman, David Matsumoto, whose book on body language and culture is also unequaled, along with many others, including Judy Burgoon, Mark Frank, and many others. And my director is saying, well, don't forget to mention yourself. Honestly, reading those books should be part of your mastery process to really imbue yourself with the best knowledge when it comes to nonverbal communications. The second thing I would recommend, and I've been using this technique for a very long time, is to watch foreign films, particularly those from Korea, Japan, Russia, Persian films from a variety of cultures. Watch them with the sound off so that the music isn't influencing you, obviously no words. And look at the nonverbals, study them. Ask yourself, do I understand what's going on? Try to interpret what you're watching and what you think is going on. I find it invaluable and have found it invaluable to do that over the years. And I've learned so much about the nonverbals that are universal. You would be surprised how many things are universal, but also cultural nonverbals. For instance, in Asia, oftentimes when people giggle or laugh, they cover their mouth. Or in the Caribbean, for instance, you may see somebody wrinkle their nose real quick, as I'm doing now, to say, how can I help you, or what do you need? These things are invaluable. The next thing I do, and I think if you're really interested in nonverbals and studying it, is begin to validate everything that you're seeing. And there are many ways to do that. If you see a behavior, ask yourself, okay, what just happened? Well, a loud sound went off and everybody froze, or a loud sound went off and they covered their mouth. And ask the people how they felt when they saw that. So we look for cues, and then we look for reactions. And I've oftentimes asked a person, well, you know, what happened? And they'll say, well, I was scared, or I couldn't believe, or I was shocked. And then you begin to validate your observations. And what are we looking for? As I've said in my book, starting with what everybody is saying, is I'm looking for comfort and discomfort. It's very simple. I think all day long we're reacting to our environment, and we do so in a way that everything is fine, everything is placid, there's a certain amount of comfort, and then is there a stimulus, a loud noise, somebody says something we don't like, and then how do we react to it? You know, in psychology, we talk about situations, events, or how we feel that are either positively valenced or negatively valenced. Comfort, discomfort. And what's interesting is, as I've often argued, is our bodies, even our physiology, our heart rate, pupillary constriction, the blood leaving the lips, takes place without any kind of consideration. And our bodies react, our brains react to the world around us in real time. And when we are comfortable, we tend to laugh and smile, we relax, the tissue of our face glows and so forth. And when it's negatively valenced or there's something goes wrong, psychological discomfort, our body reflects that. And we may squint the eyes, furrow the glabella, furrow the forehead, compress the lips, do all sorts of things which reveal that something negative has happened. I try not to focus on the exact emotion that I'm observing. That can get you into trouble, and it's not worth your time. Life is moving on. We don't have minutes or even hours to examine what exactly was that sentiment. When we reduce it to comfort and discomfort, I assure you that this was enough for our species for survival. If we're 70, 80% or even higher in accuracy, in sensing that, boy, I think I just stepped on that, or I made a mistake, or there's something negative there, that's going to be enough. And I think if you begin to train yourself to observe this way, whether you're looking at your children or at play, and you say, they're content, and then all of a sudden, something happens and they come to you and their chin is furrowed upward and they're about to cry. You don't need to know with precision. It's good enough to know there's some negativity there. It's negatively valence. Now, what is needed? Ideally, if you have the time, you've read the books, maybe you've looked at the Psychology Today articles that are available on my website, all 103 of them at this time. You've looked at YouTube videos. Consider taking a worthwhile course on body language. And I'm suggesting something like the Joe Navarro Body Language Academy, which on average is not an easy challenge. It takes months to complete, and there's a reason for that. I want you to learn it well, and I want you to take away a skill set that will benefit you for a lifetime, and one that you can share with others. So that's one way to study body language, but there's also other things that you can be doing. One of the things that we can do is, through the process of validation and testing, is asking people how they feel at the minute to see if our observation is correct. We can also replicate the experiment. Those of you who are familiar with my book, 3 Minutes to Doomsday, know that one of the things that I did was tested and validated a behavior that I had observed. I was standing with an individual whom I didn't know was a suspect, but when we mentioned the name, and the name was Clyde Lee Conrad, his cigarette shook. And that stood out. Why did his cigarette shake? And so I validated that by talking about other things and then mentioning that name again. And the second time I mentioned Clyde Lee Conrad, the suspect's cigarette once again shook. I repeated that a total of 3 times. And by then I was assured that there was some negative connotation associated between this individual I was interviewing and this Clyde Lee Conrad who had been arrested by the Germans, and that led to a 10-year-long investigation. It's great when you can validate these behaviors by testing it once again. You could ask someone, well, tell me how you really feel about somebody. And if you see the behaviors of discomfort and so forth, then you know that there's real negativity there and emotional discomfort. So there are ways to test and validate. The other thing you can do is to learn how to observe. Tell yourself, my job in learning body language is to observe all of the body, from the feet and the toes all the way to the hair. You know, I've talked in the past about how to scan. Teach yourself to scan the face and become quicker at it by picking either points on the face or going in a circular motion and then encompassing the whole body and then gradually going outward to where you can read the room. I assure you, you can train yourself to become ever faster and more efficient, but also more accurate in your observation. And again, what are we looking for? We're looking for, it's very simple, comfort and discomfort. Don't complicate it. If I see a behavior, I see jaw shifting, that's discomfort. Lip compression, discomfort. If I see a person all of a sudden go from touching the face to scratching, psychological discomfort. Eventually, maybe I'll find out why, but you make the observation, you note that it's negatively valenced, and you move forward, learn to look for the behaviors. And that's why I wrote the Dictionary of Body Language, 410 behaviors that you can study in advance and learn to associate with. Are these positively valenced or negatively valenced, so that when you see them, you don't have to think about them. You just catalog it and say, you know what, I mentioned this name, the reaction was negative, and now you can put that to good use. One last thing that I think is important, and that is to travel. Travel throughout the United States if you live in the States. And you'll notice the body language of, for instance, the people in the Northeast, the body language of different neighborhoods within Manhattan and Brooklyn and Queens, the body language of the South, Middle America, the Far West. I was fortunate that I was stationed in various locations, so I got to see the body language of people in the Pacific Northwest, all along the Colorado River with all the Native American Indian reservations. Fascinating to study their nonverbals, as well as being stationed in Puerto Rico, being stationed in Brazil, and conducting multi-year investigations in Europe. I got to observe the nonverbals of the local culture. And it can be something as simple as understanding how people shake hands or greet each other. You know, if you go to France, people are more likely to air kiss each other on the cheek. If you go to Latin America, there'll be the abrazo, the hug, versus the handshake, spatial distancing. You learn so much by observing other cultures, and of course, that enriches you. So, to the question, how can I become better at reading body language or understanding nonverbals? You got to dedicate yourself to it. You're going to have to study, and it can't just be one book. It has to be many, many books. So if you want to go from being an amateur, French for lovers of, to a connoisseur, you're really going to have to up the game and read what's required, learn, observe, test, validate, and I think you'll have a richer life for having done so. So thank you for joining me. I hope you found this interesting. Please subscribe, share it with your friends, and I look forward to being with you again.